Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Grow Through It podcast. My name is Julia, and today I'm going to talk about what 2025 taught me about health, love, and growth. At the end of the year, I always love reflecting on how this year went and things I want to improve for the following year, and just have some gratitude for everything that happened. I feel like I've learned a lot this year. I've gone through a lot this year, but I feel like I can honestly say I am at a place, for the most part, where I'm the happiest I've ever been. There's obviously some things with my family that are very stressful and sad, and that's definitely taking a toll on me, and it's extremely difficult to go through. But aside from that, I feel like everything else in my life has really come together over the last year, especially like the last 2 months, I would say. So, despite the really hard struggles my family's going through, I just want to look at all of the things to be grateful for. And I really encourage you to do this yourself, to jot down these 3 categories and name some things you learned this year, because it's really good to reflect, see what went right, see what you can do better next year, and again, just have some gratitude for what this year brought you, even if it seemed like a hard year. Because again, I could look at this year and think how sad it was and how emotional and how stressful it was because of what's happening. But making this list of everything 2025 taught me, it helped me see it in a different light and helped me see all the good things that happened this year and all the lessons that I learned. So, starting with health, there's many things I learned this year. I struggled a lot this year with injuries from my car accident. It's been a year and 2 months since my accident. I got in the accident end of October last year. So it's been a while, but it took me a really long time to heal from those injuries and kind of get back into the things I was doing before, although I'm not totally back yet, but it's definitely gotten so much better. So the first thing I learned is don't take your health for granted. I learned this through my own injuries as well as what my dad is going through. You really never know what can happen, and things can happen so quickly. So it's really important to just be grateful for your health, for what it is, and just be grateful for your body in general. I know previously, if I would have an injury like my shoulder or my knee would act up, it would frustrate me so much because I couldn't do my regular workouts. But after getting in the accident and I had a back injury, I couldn't do anything. And that's when I really opened my eyes, like, oh my God, all those times, like, it could have been so much worse. At least I could do other things. But not being able to do anything really opened my eyes. So now I really try not to take my health or my body for granted at all. And just any little thing I can do, I'm just so grateful for. The next thing I learned is movement is medicine. Even if you can't do much, even just going for a walk, doing some yoga, light stretching, if you can work out or do a sport or hiking, all of those things help your mental health and physical health so much. And again, not being able to do anything, this really opened my eyes to that because it was pretty depressing not being able to do anything, especially because I'm used to working out every day. So going from working out every day, sometimes even twice a day, to not at all really showed me how much movement is important in my life and how much it helps me just feel better physically overall and mentally, which brings me into the next point, being able to do what you want is so much more important than what your body looks like. So just having mobility or going hiking or snowboarding or running a marathon, doing those hard things, or even just being able to move your body in the way that you want to is so much more important than losing weight or being skinny. And I used to focus so much on weight loss, and it's still, of course, on my mind. It's been on my mind pretty much my entire life, so it's hard to just not think about that. And I think it's okay to want to improve your body, but I have been so much more focused on just improving my overall mobility and being able to just lift weights again or go for a walk or go for a run. And now I'm realizing just how important those things are. The next thing I learned about my health is that your brain is extremely powerful. So I'm going to do a whole episode on this because what I've recently learned is actually mind blowing and it changed my entire life. I recently read a book called The Way Out, and it's about healing chronic pain. And after reading that book, actually, I think I was like halfway, my back pain went away. And it's just because of the information I learned and what I implemented into my life. And it's so simple, and it's literally all it has to do with is your thoughts. Your thoughts are so powerful, and I've always known this, but to see it to this degree is just wild to me. So again, I'm going to do a whole episode on this because I think it's incredible and I think so many people can benefit from it. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to do it in the new year. But I can honestly say my back pain has decreased significantly. A lot of days I don't even feel it at all. And this was going from literally like hyper fixating on my back pain, thinking about it 24/7, avoiding certain movements, avoiding certain things because I was so afraid of getting hurt or having it hurt more than it already was, to I ran for the first time since my accident the other day on the treadmill. And I've been doing way more at work. So it's just incredible. I'm so excited to do that episode. If you have any questions about that, you can send me a message and I'd be happy to answer it on that episode. But yeah, your brain is just extremely powerful. It is way more powerful than you think it is. And then the last thing is it's not just about physical, it's all about energy too. I recently went to a new acupuncturist because he also does Reiki, and a friend recommended him to me, and I thought it was really cool. So I thought I would just try it out. And I first went and he asked me what like my main concern was, and I said my back pain. So this was before I read this book, and he instantly knew there was a deeper issue going on. And he said, your nervous system like is so out of whack that we need to address that in order for you to decrease your back pain because your body is so stressed and like wound up. It's just trying to survive. It's not thinking about trying to heal your back. So he started working with me and it's been truly amazing. He has opened my eyes to so much. He's so knowledgeable and spiritual and intuitive, and the difference in how my body feels after going to him is incredible. It's like a weight has been lifted off. I'm so much less stressed. I feel like I can breathe. I feel like my body's not like this tense little ball anymore. So it's been incredible. So he's been doing acupuncture and Reiki on me. And as a Reiki practitioner myself, I know how important it is, but it's not always easy to do it on myself. So it's cool that I can go to him and he can do both of those things. And honestly, it was almost like a therapy session too, because he brought out so much emotion that I was holding on to. The last time I went to him, I just cried so hard and I just had such a good release. And I don't think I would have gotten that anywhere else. But yeah, it's not just about the physical, like your body is all connected. Everything is connected. Your physical and emotional and mental and spiritual self is it's all connected. And it's not just about taking care of one of those aspects. You have to take care of it all. And I think starting with energy work is a really great start because your body holds on to so much, especially like for me after my accident. It wasn't just about the physical pain. I was holding on to a lot of emotion from the accident itself. And as you know, your body holds on to that and it can come out in all sorts of ways. So I think my pain had a lot to do with my stress and emotions behind the accident as well. So health-wise, I feel a lot better. Of course, I'm still under a lot of stress, but I feel like I'm managing it a little bit better now. And just physically being able to do more has been so healing for me. And it just makes me so happy that I can move again and without pain. And I also think it's cool that I did that. Like, I am healing my body myself. I went to physio, kinesiology, massage therapist, a different acupuncturist at my physio, and all of those things helped. But ultimately, I'm what healed myself because I'm healing myself through my thoughts and through my movement, doing physio exercises and taking care of myself and listening to my body. And my acupuncturist even said, like, I'm not healing you. You are healing yourself. Like, my clients heal themselves. And that's what I was taught when I did my Reiki course as well. Like, you don't heal your clients heal themselves. And we are all capable of it. We just need to have the right tools to do so. So, those are all the things I learned about my health this year. I'm sure there's more, but those are kind of the big ones. Next, I want to talk about love and relationships. So, not just my romantic relationship, but friendships as well and other relationships. So, the first thing I learned is I can feel safe and secure. Since being with Paul, of course, I've always felt safe, but I think coming from a toxic relationship and coming from having a lot of insecurities, I used to really be afraid of him leaving and other people leaving in my life. And I feel like I'm finally at a place where I don't feel that way. And I think I've also accepted that if someone were to leave my life, then they're just not meant to be in my life, and that's okay, and I'll be okay. But I do feel really safe and secure in my relationship, and I feel like our relationship has, like, it's always been good, but I feel like this last year it's just been really amazing. I think we've grown so much as individuals and together. And I just feel like we've had a really, really good year together. So it's nice being in a place where I feel like I have a secure attachment now. And before I was more of an anxious attachment style, but I feel like, yeah, I'm much more secure, which is really nice. The next thing I learned is communication is number one, the most important thing. If it weren't for our communication, like how we communicate with each other and just being respectful and hearing each other out, trying to see the other person's point of view, even if we don't agree, just really trying to understand it and seeing where they're coming from. And also how often we communicate. Like, if something is bothering us, we will talk about it. And we're not afraid to talk to each other about what's going on. And I feel like that's really important because if you're holding back and you're not communicating what's bothering you, that is just going to keep piling up. And eventually, you are probably going to explode because you're going to get really frustrated. And if you're not communicating to your partner what your needs are or what's bothering you, it's never going to get better. And you're just going to become more frustrated with them because they're still doing that thing that you don't want them to do or that's bothering you. But that's not their fault because they don't know. So communication is so important. I think I did a whole episode on it, but in the past, I haven't always been the best at communication. If something was bothering me, I wanted to just sit with it for a while first. I think that's okay sometimes, but it's very obvious when I'm upset. I can't hide it very well. Paul always knew. He'd have to pry it out of me. It was just a whole process that didn't need to happen. Whereas now I feel like I can just tell him right away and we can talk it out right away. And then I'm not like dwelling on it. It's not getting worse in my head because I overthink it. I just address it right away and we resolve it. But part of that is because I feel safe enough to do so. And I know some people don't have that, but if your partner truly respects you, they will hear you out and you should feel safe enough to communicate your needs and your wants to your partner. And if you don't, that is something you need to address. The next thing I learned is love can feel safe and comforting. I want to give this example because it's pretty funny. It's really random and small, but coming out of a toxic relationship, even years down the line, it still like blew my mind. So I woke up earlier than Paul the other day and I had made a smoothie the night before so I wouldn't wake anyone up in the morning, and it was in the fridge. And I, for the life of me, could not get this lid off of this smoothie container. And I was trying so hard, but I knew I couldn't do it. So I went upstairs, and Paul was going to be getting up anyway in like 5 or 10 minutes. And I went upstairs and woke him up and I said, "Can you please open this container? Like, I'm so sorry for waking you up." And he, out of his slumber, was just so kind and right away was like, "You don't need to apologize. Like, it's okay. Of course I'll open it. You can wake me up anytime." And I know he's such a great guy, but it still just shocked me because instantly I thought about what my ex would have done, and he would have got so mad at me for doing that. Like, he would have been so upset. And just the fact that Paul woke up out of his sleep and was just so kind, sat up, opened it right away. I don't even think I could do that. Like, if someone woke me up, I would do it, and I would be like, I would do it, but I don't think I could be that nice as soon as I wake up. When I wake up, I'm a little disoriented in the morning. I don't think I could have woken up and done that. So that's just such a small example, but love can feel that safe and comforting. And again, coming out of a relationship that was toxic, things like that really blow your mind. And I know a lot of people can relate to that because I've heard that so many times. The next thing I learned about is how important it is to lean on each other for support, and just being there for each other is so huge, and it's not always going to be balanced. So right now with what I'm going through, Paul is giving me more and supporting me more emotionally, and he's giving me a lot of grace when I get upset, but that's okay because I know at another time it'll be my turn to do that for him. It's not always going to be 50-50. Sometimes it's going to be 80-20, sometimes 70-30. Like, it doesn't always need to be balanced. But leaning on each other for support is really important because your partner is or should be your person. Like, you should feel so comfortable with them and safe with them. And I know for me, Paul is my safe space, and my body just can relax around him. If I'm feeling stressed or emotional, when I'm with him, I can just relax. And I think that's really important to have. And not that you should rely on that person for those things, but I think when you're going through something difficult, like what I'm going through, it is important to lean on someone. And I don't think you should feel guilty for that either. I was struggling with that a little bit where I was feeling guilty about how sad I was and how stressed I was. But I know that this is going to make us stronger. Oh my God, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional. Yeah, this is going to make us stronger. And I know that one day he will need me like I need him right now. And I'll be able to be there for him. Okay. Yeah, that made me so emotional for some reason. Um, okay, moving on. The next thing I learned is this kind of ties into communication, but you have to voice your feelings, and if that scares them, they're not right for you. I've heard so many times girls who talk about this black cat energy and how you need to be mysterious and not tell a guy like that you're feeling insecure or that you need more reassurance. And I just think that's all BS. I hate that advice. I think it's so stupid because you shouldn't have to act like a different person in front of your partner. If you have to act like someone else and you have to feel like you can't tell them when you're insecure or talk about any insecurities you have or talk about needing more reassurance from them, then you're not being yourself around them. You must not feel safe enough to be yourself. And I just think in a relationship, it's so important to be 100% your authentic self because otherwise you're lying. You're lying to your partner about who you are. Your partner should love you for you, not who they perceive you to be. So I've learned that when I'm feeling insecure, when I'm having bad body days, when I'm feeling a little jealous, or when I just need a little reassurance, I tell him. And he's okay with that. And he gives me that reassurance. And I always feel better after. And he doesn't think any less of me because of it. But it actually creates some more trust between us. So voice your feelings. And again, if that scares them, they're not meant for you. The last thing I learned is about friendships and I guess any relationship you have in your life. The first thing is nobody's perfect. Everyone has gone through some stuff in their life. Everyone has bad days. Everyone can mess up, and that's okay. But you also don't need to have that in your life if you don't want it. You can have love for that person and understand where they're coming from. But if you don't want that in your life or you don't need that in your life, that's okay. You need to evaluate who you want in your life and who you align with and who makes you feel good. And I'm not saying your friend messes up one time and they're cut off. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying look at how that person makes you feel. Look at the pattern. Is this happening all the time? How do you feel when you hang out with them? How do you feel after you hang out with them? Is this person aligning with the life you want to live or the person you are? I think friendships are really, really important, but it's important to find genuine friends who support you. And just because you've been friends with someone for a long time, or no matter what they've done for you, if you don't feel good about that friendship, it's okay to not be friends anymore. I've gone through a lot of friendship breakups, and I've met some really great people this year that genuinely want the best for me and who support me and love me. And I'm at a place where I feel really, really good about all of the relationships in my life right now. So it's important to find genuine friends. I think having friends itself is really important because you don't just want to have your partner or your family. I think you need friends, but you don't need a lot of them. You really don't need like 20 friends. I think having one or two really close friends and really genuine friendships is so much better than having a bunch of surface level friendships. It's all about quality over quantity. So, moving on to what 2025 taught me about growth, I feel like I've grown a lot this year, and I'm becoming someone that I'm proud to be. And that's huge for me. I'm getting emotional again. But I am proud of my growth and how far I've come because I have come a long way. So just reflecting on all of the growth I've had has been really healing for me. So the first thing is be the bigger person. If someone is getting on your nerves or frustrating you, it's always better to be the bigger person and not feed into that energy. I see so many people online in like comment sections. Comment sections kill me because people are just bickering over nothing and it'll be about the smallest things. And it's like, why are you wasting your energy with this person? Like, just ignore it and walk away. I think just being unbothered and ignoring stupid things and just focusing on your life is the best thing you can do. Which brings me into my next point. It's okay if not everyone likes you. You're never going to be liked by everybody. You're always going to get on someone's nerves. There's always going to be something you do that bothers them. And that's okay because you're not responsible for anyone else's emotions. You should be kind and have good intentions, but if they're taking it the wrong way or they're threatened by you in any way, that's not your responsibility. The other thing I learned this year is to stand up for myself. I used to let people walk all over me, and I feel like each year I've gotten better, but this year especially, I feel like I've really stood up for myself and what I need. And if someone's doing something that I don't appreciate, I will call them out. And if it's warranted, sometimes I just let it be if it's not worth my energy. But if I want that person to stay in my life, then I'm okay with calling them out. Or if it's something like I have to address, I will call them out. And yeah, just standing up for myself. But I think that comes from having more respect for myself now. I think before I didn't have a lot of respect or self love for myself. So I didn't really feel the need to stand up for myself. And I didn't have a lot of confidence to do so. But I don't deserve to be walked all over and I don't deserve to be disrespected. So I feel like that's why I stand up for myself more now. With that, I've also come out of my shell and expressed myself way more. I feel like even doing this podcast for the last year has helped me express myself more. I'm posting more on social media. I got Bumble BFF and I'm meeting new people. And I never would have imagined myself doing that before. I was very shy and very insecure. And it was really hard for me to just be myself around people and meet new people and have conversations. I feel like I just care less about what people think of me now. And again, I'm more confident in myself and have more self respect, where I know that the right people will come into my life. And if those people aren't meant to be in my life, then they won't, and that's okay. But I feel like I definitely care way less about what other people think of me, and it's helped me to become a stronger person. Another thing I learned is my life is my responsibility. Again, talking about the health stuff, it's my responsibility to heal my body. It's my responsibility to create the life I want. I think the universe, God, whatever you believe in, can guide you and provide support. And I think there's some sort of plan out there, but I really think it's your responsibility to get to that place and to take action to get there, because I don't think anything is ever going to be handed to you. I think it's always going to be your responsibility to get there. The next thing I recently learned is sharing your emotions is strong. I have been holding back my emotions a lot recently because I want to seem strong and I want to be strong for my family. And I think being called sensitive my whole life and overly emotional has painted this picture in my head where I think it's weak to be emotional. But I'm learning that that's not weak. It's strong to show your emotions and it's strong to express yourself, because that means you're being vulnerable. And being vulnerable with people and yourself is, I think, one of the most brave things you can do. I actually talked about this with my new acupuncturist because this thought came up during our session. And that's when I started crying. And I just said, I'm so sick of being strong. And I don't want to be strong anymore. And we talked about it. And he asked me if I thought it was weak to show emotions and be sensitive. And I realized I've never really thought that myself, but other people have been telling me that my whole life. So that thought never came from me. It came from other people's opinions. So we talked about how when things like that come up, or when I'm talking badly about myself in my head, saying bad things, he told me to ask myself, did this come from me, or is this another person's thought or opinion? And I think that was so powerful and freeing, because most of our insecurities don't stem from our own beliefs about ourselves. It stems from other people's beliefs or what other people have said to you. When you take a step back and realize that, I think it gets rid of a lot of those thoughts and negative self-talk. So that's something I recently learned, like last week, but I really wanted to share it because I think it's really powerful. And the last thing I learned is ask for what you need. Again, I think sometimes people think it's weak to ask for help, and people think that they can handle everything on their own, but sometimes you need help, and that's okay. So if I need some support at work, I now ask for it. I don't just struggle in silence, I ask for help. If I need Paul to do something for me, like if I'm really struggling one day and really upset and I just need him to hold me while I cry, I ask for it. If I need to take a break from talking to someone, or if I just need some alone time, I ask for that, or I allow myself to do that. So I think it's really important to ask for what you need and give yourself what you need. So those are all the things that I jotted down. Again, I'm sure there's more, but those were the biggest things and things that I think can help you too. I feel like I've made a lot of changes the past couple years, and this year I feel like I have grown so much, and I'm so happy where I'm at. The relationships in my life are so genuine and good, and I'm so grateful. And I'm also in a really great place with my job, and I'm more financially stable than I ever have been before. But it took a lot of work to get here. And of course, I always want to grow more. But I had to reevaluate a lot of relationships and jobs and choices I was making to get here. So it takes work, and my life is definitely not perfect. It's far from it. But I am very happy with where I'm at. And I think you can always find the lessons in the hardships as well. So again, I encourage you to jot down what you learned this year in 2025 about health, love, growth, or whatever else you want to think about and reflect on, because I think it's really important to, find the good things in the year and also reevaluate and see what you want to change for the following year. So that is it for today's episode. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. You can DM me on Instagram at growthroughit.pod or use the link in the show notes. If you use the link in the show notes, that is completely anonymous, so you can ask questions or suggest future topic ideas. If you want to share with me what you learned this year, I'd be happy to hear that. You can post on your Instagram story and tag me, or just DM me privately. I would also be so grateful if you would rate and review this podcast and follow or subscribe and share it with someone you think would benefit from it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and remember that you are worthy. See you next time.